Let's head out into the Pacific Northwest and see just what in the hell's tearing people apart. Let's get into it. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well out there. Today we're going to head to the Pacific Northwest to see what the hell is ripping people apart. But before we go up to the Pacific Northwest, like, comment, and subscribe. Join me here, great, would appreciate that. We're on to another werewolf film, one that has been criminally underseen over the years, and that one is Bad Moon. This one came out November 1st of 1996, which is maybe why this movie bombed upon release. It's rated R. It's an hour and 20 minutes long, unrated cut. The R-rated cut was 79 minutes long, so this is a brisk watch if there ever was one. Had a budget of $7 million, and sadly, because it came out after Halloween, it only made $1 million at the box office, or a little over $1 million. Now, this film was written and directed by Eric Red. Eric Red, up to that point, he wrote The Hitcher, which is an absolute classic. He wrote Near Dark, Blue Steel. He directed Body Parts. He directed Conan and Tate. He directed a little TV movie before this, and this was his next theatrical film. In this film, the cast-wise, we got Mariel Hemingway as Janet. She plays the mother to Brett, played by Mason Gamble. Mason Gamble was Dennis the Menace in the movies in the early 90s, so you might recognize him. And Michael Pear plays Uncle Ted, or Janet's brother. Now, this film opens with an absolute bang. We see Uncle Ted in the South American rainforest, or some rainforest somewhere, we assume it's South America, and with his girlfriend Ishin through the rainforest. Now, all the guys are sitting around this campfire, and Uncle Ted and his girlfriend go in the tent, start getting busy, having sex, and this werewolf comes out and starts tearing the men apart, tears his girlfriend apart. It's actually a really well shot and effective scene, and this is a way to set the tone of your film for sure. I mean, his girlfriend's getting ripped apart, and he tries to help her. He gets bit in the shoulder, and he finally gets a shotgun, and he blows the werewolf's head off in a slow motion shot, and that's how the movie starts. Then we're introduced to Janet and Brett. They live at this house in the Pacific Northwest. Janet's a lawyer, and all of a sudden, like, she hasn't seen her brother in a while, and he lets her know that he's living up the road about an hour or two up in the forest by this lake, and they decide to go visit him, and they have this dog named Thor, who's a German Shepherd. And right away, I mean, he's glad to see them. He wants to reconnect with his family. He hasn't seen them in quite some time, so you can see the relief on his face when he actually does see. Michael Pear does give a really good performance here, but he's hiding a secret, and he's trying to find a cure for it. And we do see some more werewolf action, people getting torn apart by this beast. And we do get to see the werewolf. And the werewolf was created by Steve Johnson, who worked on many, many big projects over the years. He's done many makeup effects for a lot of big movies over the years. And I think the werewolf is really effective. When it looks great, it really does. Now, I think there's a few moments where you can see, all right, it looks a little fake. But overall, it's a great design. And I really like the look of this werewolf, except for the little bit of CGI towards the end when it's a morphing effect. Even Eric Red has hated that for years. And Steve Johnson hated it because he didn't want him to do it, but they used it anyway. And anyway, this all culminates where Ted gives in to his evil side, and he's decided he's just going to make him one big fucked up family. And Thor gets taken away because he attacked Ted. Ted kind of sets the dog up because Thor knows what Ted is, and he's trying to protect his family. And what culminates in this one last showdown at the house where Ted is a werewolf and he's chasing Janet, and Brett gets the dog back. They get back to the house, and he has to take out this werewolf, and the dog does take out the werewolf, and that's the end of Bad Moon. What to like about this film? Well, I think Eric Red does a nice job directing it. The opening scene is a fantastic way to open up a movie. It's like a gut punch, exciting, it just hits hard, and then we're on to our main story. I think, again, Michael Pear gives a really good performance here. I even think Mason Gamble as Brett's pretty damn good. The dog's amazing in this film. Now, this was based on a book named Thor, and it was told through the dog's point of view, which obviously in a movie, you can't really do that, so they had to switch it up a little bit. But I think it's very effective the way they went about it, because the dog does play an integral role in the film, and it's very protective of his family. I think, well, obviously the movie moves really fast. So you get to know Janet and Brett and Uncle Ted a little bit in their workings of the relationship, and then we're off. Like, we get werewolf action, and the movie is so quick that any negatives really, I always had a good time with this film. I really did. Is there a lot of story here? No, it's a guy that's trying to deal with this problem, and towards the end of the movie, he just gives in to his fleeting desires just to kill and maim people. And that's pretty much it in Bad Moon. It's not a perfect movie, but I've always enjoyed it. And it's definitely a criminally underrated werewolf film. I think for how fast it moves and the effects are pretty damn good and Eric Red handles the movie really well, I think it's a pretty kick-ass werewolf film. It's not on the level of American Werewolf in London or Dog Soldiers that I've reviewed before this, but it's one I've always enjoyed. I think Mariel Hemingway's performance is she's never been my favorite actress. She's okay here. She's not, especially playing next to Michael Parrott. He's like really giving a good performance, and her performance is just, it's okay. It's serviceable. It's not great. I think Eric Red could have found somebody better for that role, but she's okay here for what she's given to do. Overall, I've always had a good experience with this film. I've always enjoyed it since I saw it back in the 90s. It's a shame the studio dumped this on November 1st. It should have came out at least a week before Halloween. It probably would have made its money back and maybe even a profit, but they spent no money in advertising. It's also a reason why this movie bombed as well. The Airstream that Uncle Ted lives in is supposed to signify a silver bullet, even though in this movie they do not use silver bullets to kill a werewolf. You can kill it by blowing its head off with a shotgun like Uncle Ted does in the beginning of the film with that werewolf in the jungle. So those rules are out the window. You don't have to worry about silver bullets or that. They definitely take a little bit of a different approach when it comes to the werewolf lore. But overall, this is just a simple, fun, fast-paced werewolf film. And they go for it's gory. There's some gory kills. Werewolf definitely rips people apart. And I've always enjoyed it. It's not perfect. It's not as good. It's definitely nowhere near as good as American Werewolf in London. But at the end of the day, you could do a lot worse, especially with werewolf films. Because again, like I said, there's not a whole lot of really, really good ones. I think this is a good one. At the end of the day, I would give Bad Moon an 8.5 out of 10. I've always enjoyed it, and I think the fast pace is what helps this film. And even $7 million budget, Eric Red's always said that was plenty of money. I didn't need any more money than that. I had all the money I needed. So that's pretty cool from a filmmaker. A lot of filmmakers will say, well, if I had more money, he makes no excuses. He said, yeah, I had $7 million. It was plenty of money to do what we wanted to do. I think they got screwed by the release date, which was dumb, and they didn't spend any money on the advertising. And also, there was no stars in the movie, honestly, either. That probably didn't help any. I mean, Michael Parr's a good actor, but he's not a star. But he's good here, So, yeah, at the end of the day, 8.5 out of 10 for Bad Moon. If you've ever seen this one, leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe button. Share this video. I would appreciate that. I'll be back soon with some more reviews, but until then, bye.